back on the road again. Last week we ran a workshop, went brilliantly, went to all sorts of wonderful places. Now it's back to Wendy and I, and we're headed for the Snaefellsnes Peninsula. Beyond, about 2 kilometers that way, is one of these tiny isolated churches that Iceland is so famous for. Beyond that is Snaefellsjökull, the glacier and peak. And I've been having a lot of fun here in Iceland using this long lens, the 200-400 with the built-in 1.4 extender, to really compress the perspective and emphasize that tiny church dwarfed by the scale of the peak beyond. We're back at a place called Budir on the Snaefellsnes Peninsula, and I came here about 4 years ago in the summer on a job for Lonely Planet magazine, and stayed here and thought sometime I must return and bring Wendy. Of course, in the summer there wasn't the snow on the mountains. To my mind it looks far, far more impressive this time of year. I love it here. I think it's a beautiful part of Iceland. There's so much to photograph. We're going to be staying here for the next 3 days. I'm really looking forward to just working this tiny area of Iceland and making the most of it photographically. Should be a lot of fun. So this is the scene here at Snaefellsnes Peninsula over there. That's the hotel we're staying at. It's got to be one of my favourite places to stay. Favourite hotels anyways in the world. Just a brilliant location. Snaefellsjökull, the famous volcano, topped by an ice cap over there, made famous by Jules Verne, Journey to the Centre of the World. We got Wendy here, enjoying a beautiful late afternoon here in Iceland. Beautiful light this evening and fantastic wave motion. Quite a rare combination to have this sort of coastal scene with snow-capped peaks beyond. There's a lovely steely quality to the light here in the Snaefellsnes Peninsula this morning. We were up hoping for some northern lights last night, which didn't happen. But this morning there's this kind of really subdued but very, very evocative light, and I've been having some fun shooting literally just outside the hotel this morning. There's a real pleasure to be had in staying somewhere as visually evocative as here, and really working the area over the course of 3 or 4 days to really try and bring out its maximum photographic potential. It's just very, very satisfying photographically, and it's actually a relief as well not to have to be driving for several hours every day. That was Budir rush hour, I think. I've been doing some pictures with this sea stack down below me here, looking down on it, so I'm using my 17mm tilt and shift lens. I want to get the sweep of the bay and the mountains beyond, the lovely shape and texture of the sea stack. I've been experimenting with using the big stopper to give me exposure of about 45 seconds. And now I've taken that off and I'm using no filters at all and trying to get some of the seagulls in the frame. A bit of sunshine's coming in now, but as usual here in Iceland, despite the fact it's 20 to midday, the light is still fantastic. And I'm loving this notion that I can just make pictures throughout the day. In fact, interestingly, some of my best shots have not been done at dusk or dawn, but in this sort of steely light that we're getting in the day. It's great fun.
We're looking down at those basalt columns here, the mouth of a cave covered with gulls, fulmars, preparing to nest for spring. It's a bit scary, and yet again, David's on the edge. What are you doing, David?
I've got a shot here, it's quite a quirky picture, just using the shape of the cave. 17mm lens looking down again, the tilt and shift. I'm using an exposure of about a second long to keep the form of the water surging in the cave down below. And this low contrast lighting really is helping me with this picture. It's just what I want, really.
Yeah, it wouldn't work with that sunshine, would it?
The shape of the rocks and those gulls perched on them, it's fabulous. Quite
amazing place, isn't it?
Quite pleased with this picture. So we're just waiting for just the right wave, you know, to be surging down there below.
Woo!
Another epic setting. Sun's come out now, which is a bit harsh for me, but here down below we have this entrance to a cave, and there's all sorts of wonderful shapes to the rocks with the gull poo over there. Just having great fun working just a few hundred meters of coastline here.
Tide's coming in, it's getting a bit wild down there. Look at that. Woo! It's beautiful. The problem that has been we've had too much sun, and when we need shade, and we've had too much shade when we need sun. The joy of being a photographer, which David is. I'm not. I'm a snapper, so I don't really care.
Just down there you'll see these wonderful shaped rocks, which Wendy pointed out. She's had a particular picture to suggest to me in mind, which I think is a really good idea. The light's all wrong at the moment with that backlighting from the hard sunlight, so we're probably going to come back again. I do find Wendy's way of looking at things really quite interesting to take on sometimes. She's got a very unique eye, and I ignore it at my peril.
Right, David's going to tell you what he's doing, but I must add, he's given me kittens because he can't multitask and he's very near the edge. And if he forgets and takes a step back, there he goes. So, okay, David.
The mouth of the cave down there draws me with all the gulls and the streaky bits on the rock around the entrance to the cave. Beneath that, a black sand beach and the wonderful basalt columns, shapes to the rocks. All very monochromatic, shades of black and white, and the waves coming in on the beach as well. So I'm experimenting with all of that. I'm using exposures of around about 1 or 2 seconds, and there will be just one where it all comes together at the decisive moment. Gorgeous morning I've had. I've been in amongst the lava field. You can see the fantastic light painting the landscape behind me. I've been using both my tilt and shift lenses to get really up close to the detail of the wonderful shapes, colours and textures of the lichen in the lava field. One of those mornings really that just leaves me speechless. Just beautiful. This is where we're staying, here in the Snaefell's Nest. Hotel Budia, which is a really great place to stay. One of my favourite hotels in the world, quite frankly. And this is our room, and it's the location that just makes it. And here's the view out one window towards Snaefell's Yorkle, and then over here at this window the view towards these snowy mountains with the reflections.
Yet again, David's given me kittens. He chooses to stand right on the edge. I can't bear to look. Just below him, you won't be able to see them, but there's a little flock of guillemots floating on the water, looking out for fish. We've got kittiwakes on the cliff to the right of us. Amazing cathedral rock beyond. It's almost quite austere, really. Okay, David, how much longer are you going to create tension in me by being on the edge here?
It's just such a good
Yeah, you
spot,
always say that, mate.
The light's a bit hazy this morning, so I'm doing shots with no sky in. But there's some great detail down there on the rocks below. Wonderful shapes to the rocks, and toned by the lichen and the gull poo. Well, it's just self-indulgent photographic fun. Shooting with a 70 to 200mm, and using a little bit of a slow exposure, around about a few seconds, just to get some motion on the water. A polarizer as well to really saturate the colours, and I'm just a happy boy.
Doesn't take much, does it?
We spent about an hour just knocking around on this lunar landscape of a beach here. It's midday and the sun is quite hazy but harsh, but in the shadows there are some really quite interesting shapes and textures in the rocks, and it's total photographic self-indulgence, of course. But what's wrong with that? You just look at some of these shapes in here. There's some great tones and textures and the like, and I've had a lot of fun playing with that. Somehow or other, a couple of hours has passed on the beach here. The light's gone quite milky, but I've been playing around nonetheless. Only got a couple of days here in Iceland left, so might as well make the most of it. But all good fun, really.
Why don't you show us what you just did, Dave?
Well, hang on, helps if you switch the camera off.
Okay. This is the landscape we've been shooting, and the light's steely, it wouldn't have worked if it was full on sun, I know that much. Were you doing a timed exposure?
Yeah, doing another of these with the big stopper.
Could you just tilt it for me? Yeah.
So Wendy, our last day here in Iceland, how do you feel about the trip?
Well, I've absolutely loved it. When we first came in, there was some howling wind, bitter cold, big skies, it was raining, it was snowing. I wonder what we were doing here, quite frankly. But now we've been here for 2.5 weeks, and we've seen everything from the coastline, black sand with the snow, volcanoes, mountains, geysers, waterfalls. It's just spectacularly beautiful, and the wildlife too, with all the birds. And my last night I saw seals and a minke whale on my own, which was just superb.
It may be a destination that's short of tropical palm trees, but for lovers of the great outdoors like us, it's real paradise, isn't it?
It is real paradise. Wine's expensive. I'm looking forward to a glass of wine at home. So David, did you achieve all you wanted to here in Iceland?
In terms of experiencing the Northern Lights, all kinds of different photographic opportunities, ice on the beach, black sand beaches, huge waves, quite a variety of lighting conditions. Yes, although we always hope for more. But I was aware before we came that a lot of photographers are coming here at the moment. But really, when you think about it, it is a landscape of such harsh, elemental, stark beauty that there's plenty of scope for all of us to do our own thing photographically. Without a doubt, I think we'll be coming back next year.